enables parents to have that access as well. There's no more, you don't have to hunt for everything, or, oh, they lost that paper, and it's all right there. Everything is there for them on the cloud. And so it gives the, teachers definitely benefit, but students therefore benefit because the teachers benefit from it so much, and parents have access.
I'm going to say here, my love for technology when it comes to parent communication, if you've ever had to make a parent phone call, sometimes those can be a little stressful as you're talking about what little Johnny is doing in class or what he didn't do. I love emails. I can be reached all the time, and I can send an email to a parent and communicate to them without there being any kind of emotional responses going on, because
Absolutely.
I can keep them up to date as I need to, rather than waiting for something major to happen. So I really like the ability through technology to stay in constant contact. With learning management systems, we don't even have to use email anymore. I can leave comments right there with the activity that a parent can read. I can leave a message through that learning management system so that it goes directly to the student and the parent, and it resolves a lot of those issues you might have if you're waiting for conference days and things like that. Now, we've talked about the benefits here. We've also got here some possibilities that you wouldn't otherwise have if you were stuck with paper and pencil. You want to talk about
Absolutely.
some of those?
People go on virtual field trips. You can put on, Google Cardboard and things like that, where you're able to take a trip to anywhere in the world. And I mean, that gives you endless possibilities and gives students the perspective that you're actually there. You're standing on that rock in that stream, and you're able to look around and see things that, we've taught students who have never been outside of the city where they live, and they've never been outside of the state or seen these things, and this is a new experience for them. Communication, that's a given with technology, and you touched on that with the email, but this opens up research opportunities.
Right. So now as a teacher, I don't have to just rely on my textbook.
Right.
The opportunity to find data for my content area, for those students to find their own data, is endless with the research possibilities. You've got videos and podcasts here, which if you've ever flipped a classroom, or if you're wanting to learn to flip a classroom, you can make your own videos for students to watch outside class.
Screencast.
They can find, and if you don't want to create, there are thousands of educators who've already created great content digitally that you can access and make part of your classroom that will give you the ability to add some depth without actually increasing your class time, because your students can do this at home. They can do it between classes. They can do it when they've finished an activity and they're an early finisher and you want to give them some extra information.
Right. One of the other things you have on here that you've already kind of touched on is about audio and feedback that way. But one of my favorite things about technology is the collaboration. This can be between two students sitting in the same classroom across the room from each other. This could be worldwide, bringing down the walls of your classroom and having collaboration with other people and seeing what they feel, or other classes that you teach. I just love collaboration, and it just makes it so much easier. And, a lot of teachers, and worry about the collaboration and communication between students, and, if it's appropriate, if it's right, if it's wrong, but, with technology and the school district, all of this is monitored as well. So, it kind of helps to eliminate, and this goes with classroom management, which will be a whole nother episode, but I just love that collaboration is so available to everyone at all times, with students working on a project. You don't have to schedule sleepovers and afternoon visits when parents aren't able to get their kids to places to spend the afternoon so that they can work on a project together. It can all be done online.
And when we talk about 21st century skills, one of the first that comes up is collaboration. is your student able to work with other people to solve problems and to create solutions to those problems? Well, what better way to collaborate than with the technology? And we see it work in our classrooms every day. As we're winding down here, Carrie, why don't we jump to some of the hardships here? And we'll start by saying, when we say hardships, yes, there are some things that you might run into that make using technology difficult at times. But
right. But I cannot move on without mentioning how technology makes it easier to modify your activities, your lessons, and things
Absolutely.
for students who have special needs.
Absolutely.
You know, we all have the students with IEPs and 504s, and, you know, every student has their own set of challenges, and technology just allows you to make those accommodations, and it's so much easier. So I could not
Excellent
move on
point.
without going through that.
Excellent.
But, you know, hardships or the challenges that we face is, you know, device access at home. Now, our school allows students to actually take their devices home and they bring them back and forth, but not all schools do that. Maybe you're in a classroom with a cart and you only have that access to those devices while in that classroom. So this is definitely one of the challenges that you face with technology. And of course,
one of the ways to overcome those challenges, we're going to talk about hardships here, but don't let those things sound like that's going to keep you from using technology, because even those students without the devices at home have a phone at home or have a tablet or have a parent that has one of those things at home. And with Google and the cloud,
Absolutely.
if you're using those things, they can still access in some form their work at home, whether it's on a device that you have in your classroom.
Right. And also, you know, I mean, there's always the library, but that does mean parents have to go and bring them there. But you know, students, this may mean you modifying how you've always done things, and by allowing students the little bit of extra time to complete the activity so that this isn't an issue. And, you know, maybe rather than doing 3 projects like this, maybe you can combine them or combine, you know, 2 of them and be able to give the students a little bit more time to work in class. You know, internet access is another challenge, but again, I mean, these are rare incidences. Students have access to internet, and, you know, if it means tethering a phone to get that, then, you know, that's
And
what they...
For some of you, if you're not aware, in our area, the internet providers even have, for those students whose families are low income, there are programs to get free internet into those homes. So maybe look that stuff up for your parents and put that information out, because we can overcome that as well.
Post that on a school website or something.
This next point, going digital, is a lot of work on the front side for the teacher. This is a great point. You are going to have to create your work digitally, which oftentimes is an extra step for teachers. But I'm going to be the first to tell you, as a person who's used a paperless classroom for the last 4 years, your work is done up front, and then in the classroom, it is your students who have to work, which is really what you want happening in your classroom.
And by doing the upfront work, there's several benefits to that. First of all, it allows you, because your students are doing the work in the classroom, it allows you to be able to monitor better, to do assessments and see, are they getting this? It gives you the ability to do one-on-one with your students as you walk through the classroom, and, you know, pull up the chair next to them and have a conversation with them and see where they are. And so it is a lot of upfront work, but once it's done, it frees you up during class time to be able to connect with your students. And also, you know, I never do the same thing twice, but I have this basic structure there set up and ready for me. All I have to do is go back and change some things, you know, because I'm constantly evaluating myself and see how I do. So yes, it is upfront work, but it definitely frees you up in the long run.
Absolutely.
You know, and you brought up about being creative and stuff. You know, another challenge is that it requires educators to be proficient in technology and to become creative.
So you mean we're going to have to keep learning and training?
We have to keep learning and training. But you know what? That's what how-to videos are for. And, you know, there's so many online
Screencasts.
videos, step-by-step instructions. I mean, you can Google anything. And so there's all of this. And so this is a way for you to learn. And then, not everyone considers himself creative. I'm kind of one of these people, but that's when you have online professional developments and the Twitter and Facebook and things that you have like learning networks on. And I also say that's what Pinterest is for. Right. And then, you can modify the content to match what you need. And, if anything, it gives you an idea and then, okay, well, I wouldn't do that, but I would do this. And so it kind of triggers you to have ideas as well. And, and it also requires that educators have to be able to make do with what they have available. Some programs are free, some of them have free versions, some of them are all paid, and some are blocked by your district. So it requires for you to be flexible, like we
absolutely
always have to be.
Well, that was our first podcast.
Yay.
We hope that you learned something along the way, and we're obviously learning how to podcast, but it was our great pleasure to share some of this information with you.
Absolutely. And one of the things I have on here is times are changing, so should your way of teaching and learning. And this is us learning, and we appreciate you listening and helping us as we struggle through this as well.
And an important point is here, times will always be changing, and your way of teaching and learning will always be changing. Absolutely. I know it does for us. We don't have it figured out, and we're always learning more. Our next podcast will be on T drive to G drive, shifting your thinking as an educator from that network drive to a cloud storage system like Google that will allow you to collaborate with your PLCs. So we look forward to bringing that to you, and we hope you've enjoyed our podcast. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Wall to Wall Podcast. For more resources, you can visit walledtech.com or follow us on Twitter. Our username is @walledtech, or you can find us on Facebook by searching for WallEdTech. If you have questions, comments, or anything you want to hear us talk about, visit WallEdTech and send us an email, tweet, or message us on Facebook. We look forward to hearing from you.